Every great journey begins with a single choice. But what happens when two people take completely different roads?
Jason and Kevin, raised in the same house, grew up hearing their parents emphasize the importance of hard work. But while Kevin absorbed the lessons, Jason viewed them as outdated struggles. Their perspectives on money and success differed from an early age, unknowingly setting the stage for two vastly different lives.
What we believe in our childhood often shapes the rest of our lives.
As children, Kevin and Jason were exposed to the same lessons, but they processed them differently. Kevin saw money as something to manage, while Jason believed it was meant to be enjoyed as fast as it was earned. Their contrasting mindsets became evident in their actions, foreshadowing the future ahead.
The people we surround ourselves with can determine our fate.
As teenagers, their choice of friends reinforced their opposing mindsets. Kevin surrounded himself with ambitious peers who discussed investment and business ideas. Jason, however, found himself drawn to friends who lived for the moment, spending without thought. Kevin's best friend, Daniel, introduced him to a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. They often discussed wealth-building strategies, entrepreneurship, and the importance of long-term investments. Meanwhile, Jason's friends convinced him that saving money was pointless. After all, life was about experiences, not hoarding cash. One night, Kevin and Daniel brainstormed ideas for a small side hustle, selling refurbished electronics online. At the same time, Jason and his friends spent an entire paycheck partying. The contrast in their priorities became glaringly obvious. Jason often found himself envying Kevin's ability to plan ahead, yet he dismissed those thoughts. He told himself that he was the one truly living life, while Kevin was missing out on all the fun. But deep down, an unsettling feeling started growing within him.
One decision can set the course for a lifetime.
Kevin decided to enroll in business school, while Jason saw college as a waste of time. Their father offered them both financial support, but Jason turned it down, believing he would figure out life on his own. As Kevin attended classes and networked with future entrepreneurs, Jason bounced between jobs, barely making ends meet. His friends encouraged reckless spending, and soon, Jason found himself taking out loans to maintain his lifestyle. What seems like small debt today can become a monster tomorrow. Jason's debts piled up. Credit card companies called daily, and past due notices cluttered his mailbox. Meanwhile, Kevin successfully launched a small online business, reinvesting profits and growing his network. Kevin tried to advise Jason on budgeting, but Jason brushed it off. "I'll make it big one day," he assured himself. But deep down, anxiety kept him awake at night. The biggest mistake we make is thinking that luck will save us. Jason convinced himself that a get-rich-quick scheme would solve his problems. He invested in a shady cryptocurrency, hoping for overnight success. At first, the profits looked promising, but within weeks, the market crashed, wiping out everything. Devastated, Jason turned to alcohol to numb the pain. Kevin watched in disappointment, but knew his brother had to want change for himself. Financial storms often start as small clouds on the horizon. Jason received a final warning notice for his overdue rent. Panic set in. He called Kevin, asking for a loan, but Kevin refused. "I'll help you fix the problem, but I won't give you money to keep making the same mistakes," Kevin said. Jason hung up, angry. He thought Kevin was selfish. But later that night, as he lay on his mattress in his nearly empty apartment, he felt the weight of his decisions pressing down on him. Bad financial decisions compound faster than we realize. Jason's debts had piled up to an unbearable level. Collection agencies flooded his phone with calls, each one a reminder of his reckless spending. His job barely covered the minimum payments, and his stress levels skyrocketed. Desperate, he decided to try his luck at gambling. Just one win and I can clear my debts, he convinced himself. But the universe had other plans. The first night, he lost half of his rent money. Instead of walking away, he doubled his bet the next night. Within a week, he was flat broke. Meanwhile, Kevin continued thriving. He had saved enough to invest in real estate, acquiring his first rental property. When Jason called him asking for money, Kevin refused but offered something better, guidance. Jason, still blinded by his poor mindset, scoffed at the idea of budgeting. Then came the eviction notice. When desperation sets in, integrity is often the first casualty. With nowhere else to turn, Jason devised a plan to borrow money from their mother. He fabricated a medical emergency, shedding fake tears as he begged her for help. Heartbroken, she handed him her savings without hesitation. For a brief moment, Jason felt relief. But deep inside, shame gnawed at him. Kevin discovered the lie and confronted Jason. He didn't just take money. You took her trust, Kevin snapped. Jason, too prideful to admit fault, stormed out. But that night, as he lay alone in his near-empty apartment, the guilt consumed him. Every downfall has a rock bottom. Jason was about to find his. The final blow came when Jason lost his job due to frequent absences. With no income, no home, and no allies left, he found himself sleeping in his car. One night, hunger clawed at his stomach, but he had no money for food. As he stared into the rearview mirror, a hollow version of himself stared back. "Is this what I've become?" he muttered. At that moment he realized something. His life was not a result of bad luck, but of bad choices. Rock bottom isn't the end. It's the foundation for rebuilding. Swallowing his pride, Jason called Kevin. "I don't need money. I need help," he admitted. Kevin agreed under one condition. Jason had to surrender control of his finances. No more reckless spending, no more shortcuts. Jason hesitated, but with no other options, he accepted. The first step? Listing every debt he owed. The numbers were staggering, but for the first time, he felt a sense of control. Understanding wealth is more than just making money. It's about changing habits. Kevin handed Jason a stack of books on financial literacy and personal growth. At first, Jason found them boring. But as he read about budgeting, investing, and money management, something clicked. Kevin also gave him a strict budget. 50% of earnings for essentials. 30% for savings and debt repayment. 20% for personal expenses. It felt suffocating at first, but Jason followed it. Each day was a battle against old habits, but with Kevin's guidance, he slowly gained control over his spending. The path to success starts with a single step. Jason found a stable job and used his first paycheck to pay off a small debt. The amount was insignificant, but the feeling was empowering. Motivated, he started tracking every penny he spent. The discipline, once foreign to him, became a source of pride. For the first time in years, he felt hopeful. To truly move forward, one must make peace with the past. Jason knew there was one last piece of unfinished business, his mother. Standing at her doorstep, he struggled to find the right words. "Mom, I lied to you," he finally said. "And I'm going to make it right." Tears filled her eyes as he handed her an envelope containing the first repayment. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Her hug was the final push he needed to keep going. It's not about how much money you make. It's about what you do with it. With his debts shrinking, Jason focused on his next goal, investing. Kevin introduced him to the stock market, explaining the power of compound interest. Initially skeptical, Jason took a leap of faith and invested a small amount. Each month, he watched his portfolio grow. This isn't gambling, he realized. This is wealth building. Small wins create momentum. Jason flipped a used car for a profit. The rush of earning money smartly, rather than recklessly, was exhilarating. Rather than splurging, he reinvested the profit into another car. Before long, he had a small side hustle. The cycle had finally shifted. Discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality. With consistent effort, Jason built an emergency fund and paid off his last debt. The day he made the final payment, he celebrated, not with an expensive night out, but with gratitude. He was finally free. True wealth is in giving back. Jason realized that financial freedom wasn't just about escaping debt. It was about helping others do the same. He started mentoring young adults on financial literacy, ensuring they never made the mistakes he did. He felt more fulfilled than he ever had before. Success is sweeter when shared. Kevin and Jason stood together at a financial seminar, this time as guest speakers. As Jason shared his story, he saw nodding heads in the audience. He knew that somewhere among them was another version of himself, someone who needed to hear that change was possible. He had finally found his purpose. What you leave behind matters more than what you earn. Years later, Jason launched a foundation focused on financial education in low-income communities. Looking at his thriving organization, he smiled. He had once believed money was about spending, about living in the moment. Now he understood the truth. Money was a tool, one that, when used wisely, could change lives. And his life was proof of that.